Hi, I'm Jakira Black and this is my best books of 2016, those books that I've read and enjoyed, or series. I'm going to start with a book that I've read quite recently. I haven't really read a lot of books that I've enjoyed in the last 6 months. I've not really been going through a reading slump as such, as more of a life slump. So this is one book that I have read recently, that I have been reading, and I've already talked about it in one of the book hauls I did, and that was The Dark Army. It's book 2 in the Starblade Chronicles by Joseph Delaney. And I did really enjoy that book, and I enjoyed the first book of the series. Joseph Delaney wrote the Spook's Apprentice books about Tom Ward, who becomes a Spook's Apprentice, fighting in the dark, so capturing witches and boggarts and all matter of dark things. So the Starblade Chronicles is, he is now the Spook. He's no longer an apprentice and he's got his own apprentice, and it's him continuing to fight the dark. So I did really enjoy that second book. It was a free book that I'd got from Joseph Delaney in return for a review on Goodreads, which I did when I read it, but obviously this is an extra bit of review, so I do recommend Joseph Delaney's books. I really do. They are very good. And it was the first book that I've read for a long time that I really enjoyed, and what I've read so far since hasn't been so good. I'm reading now Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys, which so far is good, but reading slump, life slump, yeah, not brilliant. Anyway, so next up I want to talk about, this year I read book 2, 3 and 4 of the Maze Runner series. I loved the first book, I really did, and I do like the other 3 as well. It's by James Dashner, and it is a really good series. Basically the first book is this boy, and I can't remember what he's called, is put in a maze with other boys, and inside a maze, and then they get out and they find out what's happening in the world because they'd forgotten everything. So yeah, it is a really good series, and I do recommend that. Next up is Arena 13. I read this earlier on in the year before my life slump. I've actually got the second book, The Prey, that I am intending to read hopefully before the end of the year. Otherwise it'll be next year. But yeah, it's basically a boy fights in an arena against a demon and who killed his parents, and it's by Joseph Delaney as well as Spook's Apprentice. It's his new series that is totally unrelated to the Spook's Apprentice series, so I do recommend that. Okay, let's see, I'm going down. A book that I really did enjoy this year was The Registry by Shannon Stoker, and I'm really sorry that I've got no pictures for these. Obviously you can Google them when or any books to show you, because they're from the library or ebooks or whatever, and or I've given the book away, or so I haven't got the book to show you, but obviously you can Google and look. The Registry by Shannon Stoker was basically girls are raised to be wives, and one girl decides that she doesn't want to be matched with someone, you know, with no say in her life at all, just this object of beauty, you know. So she decides to run away, get away. I think there is books after the first book, The Registry. I've not read them yet. I do think I probably will. So I do recommend The Registry. I think I read it on Overdrive, which is an app which you can get books from your library through, and it was definitely from the library that I got it. So next up is The Glittering Court, which is by Richelle Mead, who is the author behind the Vampire Academy books. I've just read a book by her called Soundless that was okay. It wasn't as good as Vampire Academies, but I did really like, I think it was her. I'm looking at my Goodreads here. Yeah, it was Richelle Mead. The Glittering Court is about this aristocratic woman who is expected to marry her cousin or someone, and she doesn't want to, so she runs away as well. A lot of running away. And she joins the Glittering Court, pretends to be just a normal girl, and so she joins the Glittering Court, which is basically they get normal girls ready to go abroad and marry well-off men in the colonies, so like America or Australia. I don't know which one it was. So yeah, it's a really good book, and I do recommend it. I'm saying that I recommend lots of books, but the thing is, these are the books that I have enjoyed this year. So these are the best of the best, the cream of the creme of the cream, or cream of the cream, or whatever the saying is, and I don't know what the saying is. So yeah, I thought I wasn't recording for a minute then, but it is recording. So yeah, I do recommend that book. It is good. It's Vampire Academy is better, but yeah. Another book I've read this year is Consider, which is Hollow, book 1 by Christy Acevedo. And basically, suddenly on Earth, all these portals appear, and a voice comes through saying that the Earth is about to be destroyed, but these aliens have provided portals so that people can get away to safety. And it's when, you know, some people go through the portals and some people don't, and they have a set time. And in the end, the main character goes through the portal, not necessarily to save herself, but because she thinks that there's something going on. It is the first book of a series, and I did really enjoy it. So I will be getting the other ones. I'm not sure if they're out yet. I haven't looked recently, but that was back. I read that probably back in about April, May. So yeah. Okay, so next up is The Siren by Kiera Cass. The Siren is a book about this girl who is on a sinking ship, and she's rescued by these sirens and offered the chance to live if she becomes a siren. And the sirens basically just sing like sirens do, and bring about deaths to people on ships. But it's about, you know, her life day to day, and her falling in love with someone who she can't talk to, because if she talks, then he's gonna go and jump in the water. So it's about that, and it is a good book. It's the character, I can't even remember what she's called, but yeah, it is a good book. So The Siren by Kiera Cass, and I do recommend it, and I don't know if there's another one after that. I've got a feeling that there isn't. I think it might be a standalone. I'm not sure. Okay, So next up, and I could actually show you this book, but my daughter Bethany is actually reading it at the moment, and I think she would probably object to me going and taking it off her, especially when I got it from the library, and it's her book that she got for Christmas, and she's reading it right now. But the book Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill. It's similar to one of the other books I've spoken about. These girls live in a school, and they're taught that they've got to be beautiful, and they've got to be accomplished, and that they're either, when they get chosen, they'll either become wives or concubines, and they're very much presented as property of men. So it's very much a feminist style story of, you know, men having power over women and women just being objects. And it is good. It is quite startling, really, but it is a good book, and I do actually really recommend that. I wouldn't recommend it for anyone under about Bethany's age, maybe 15, 16 at the youngest, because it does deal with issues that, you know, aren't sort of like suitable for the younger generation. But yeah, it is really good. Like I said, it is a feminist story about, you know, men having control over women, you know, and obviously it challenges today's society as well about women being presented as nothing more than sex objects, as objects for men, you know, because obviously we're human beings and we are our own people, and we are not here to please men, we are here to live. Okay, so next up is the series The Selection by Kiera Cass, who wrote The Siren as well. The Selection is basically there's a prince and he has a selection, and girls are chosen throughout the country to enter the selection, and the girl who wins becomes the princess and marries the prince. Just basic normal girls, some higher class, some lower class, and basically it's about, it is sort of like, they said that it's like Hunger Games versus Big Brother, sort of a reality sort of show sort of style story, because it's all in the book, it's all televised, but it's like, you know, this world is, you know, quite very structured, and people in the lower classes are very controlled, and so yeah. Okay, so Kiera Cass, The Selection, and there's 4 books. The first 3 are based around one girl, and then the 4th book, which isn't quite as good, is based, actually no, I think it's 5 books actually. The first 3 are based on, can't remember what she's called. Oh, she's called America. And then the 4th and the 5th are based, the main character is her daughter. And it isn't quite as good, but it's still good. Okay, so next up, a book I really enjoyed was Girl on the Plane by Miriam Moss. And I think this is a true story. In fact, I'm sure it's a true story about, I think it was in the 70s, or these planes were taken by terrorists, taken to the Middle East somewhere. And this is the story of one of the people on one of the planes, a young girl who lives through the experience of being taken hostage, and, you know, not having the things that she needs, you know, going thirsty and going hungry, and, you know, getting cold at night and hot during the day, and in the desert, and, you know, life being rotten really. And it was a very gritty read. Obviously, it's, like I said, it's true. I think the author is the girl, so it happened to her. So that was a really, really good book. Very traumatizing, really, but you know, there's nothing wrong with that to some degree. It's a good book to read. It's good to read things like that because obviously, you know, it gives us different sides to situations and stuff. So, okay. So next up is Doctor Who Time Lord Fairy Tales, which I really, really liked, and you know, it was just like something that was really, really easy to read. All the stories are like short stories are based around fairy tales, but with Doctor Who aspects to them. If you haven't read it and you are into Doctor Who, then you need to read it. You do need to read it. It's by Justin Richards, who has wrote quite a few Doctor Who books. So yeah, Time Lord Fairy Tales, you need to read it because it is really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so I read the last book this year of a series that I've been reading for a few years. It was called The End by Charlie Higson, and it's the last book in the Enemy series. The Enemy is a series of zombie apocalypse. Everyone over, I think, the age of 15 has got a virus that suddenly they all turn into zombies, and then everyone under 15 has to survive. So the children are in shops and places, and they're having to survive, a bit like Lord of the Flies, really. The children are on their own, and you know what happens when they're on their own. Well, some rise to the top and and take control, and some are good and some are bad, and then obviously they're having to fight the zombies and survive from the zombies, and the zombies are after them. And so yeah, it is, I love that series. It's by Charlie Higson, and I do really I'm quite upset in some ways that I've finished the series because I did really enjoy it. So okay, another book I really liked this year was Every Day by David Levithan. Basically, it's about this character who is like a soul, really, like a lost soul, and every day this character, we don't know if it's male or female because sometimes it wakes up in a female's body, sometimes it wakes up in a male's body, all exactly the same age, so day by day. So, one day it's 15th birthday, it wakes up in someone's on their 15th birthday, and the next day it's the day after the 15th birthday, they're in someone else's body. I did really enjoy it. It was very much sort of like a continuing story because this soul fell in love with a girl, and obviously when the soul fell in love with a girl, the next day the soul woke up in another body somewhere else in the world, thankfully not too far away. So, it's this soul sort of introducing themselves to the girl, and every day the soul is someone different. So it was a really good story, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, so another series that I completed this year was the Hunt series by Andrew Fukuda. It's the book that I read was The Trap, but it's the first one is The Hunt, then The Prey, and then The Trap. It's about vampires, a vampire world. Everyone is a vampire, but there's this boy called Gene, I think, and he's human, but he's living in a vampire world, so he is pretending to be a vampire and going to vampire school. And there are some humans around, but they're sort of not the norm. Everyone is a vampire, and then the humans are hiding in plain sight. So yeah, I really did like the story, and yeah, I think it finished. I think the last book came out last year or the year before, but I just not got round to reading it, so I finished it this year. So yeah, it's good. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to recommend and talk about is the Vampire Academy books by Richelle Mead. I'd already read a few years ago the first book, Vampire Academy, but this year I read Frostbite, Shadow Kiss, Blood Promise, Spirit Bound and Last Sacrifice. I really, really enjoyed them. I really, really enjoyed them. They're very, very good. I've seen the first film as well. I don't know if they're going to do any more, but I do really, really recommend Vampire Academy. It is a very, very good series and definitely worth reading. So yeah, so there you go. That is my the books that I have enjoyed, or the series that I have enjoyed this year. I am going to be reading a few more books this year. Obviously, it's, you know, I think it's probably, yes, it's after midnight, so it's the 28th of December now, so I've only got a few more days left of the year, so I should hopefully be able to fit in Salt of the Sea and maybe one other, which might be the second Arena 13 book. But yeah, and then obviously, like I said in my last video, I'm going to be trying to aim for 100 books this year, this coming year. This year I have read 59 books, so Salt of the Sea will be my 60th. So I might just finish with that book, and because I've been working on my masters as well, I've got some stories to critique for fellow students from a workshop thing, and I want to finish a story that I'd started writing. I'm doing creative non-fiction at the moment, so the story is called The Blood Trail, and it's basically a story about me and my best friend when we were about 11, and someone had been stabbed in our local park, and me and my friend decided we were going to follow the blood trail. So we followed it all around the park and then crossed the road and then down a side road until we got to a big splodge where the person who had been stabbed collapsed. I've got no idea if the man lived or died. I was 11. I wasn't really sort of thinking about whether he'd lived or died, and I probably had no way to actually find out whether he'd lived or died anyway, except for asking my parents. But yeah, I'm writing, I've got the last of that to talk write, so me and my friend going down the side road and finding the splodge. I was a strange child, and some people would say I'm probably a strange adult too. But then again, I'm a writer, so I'm supposed to be strange. Okay, so that is my 2016 best books that I've read, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then like, and also please subscribe, because I want more subscribers, because I've only got 5 and I want more because I'm greedy and strange. Okay, bye.